You didn't actually make fun of your friend for being poor, right? There's gotta be a twist. In what world would that ever... I'm speechless. Happy apple picking day! I know it looks a little crazy. I'm not home, in case you haven't figured that out yet. I was in New Orleans and I came straight to New York. I had a lot of work going on. And I just didn't have time to go home and film before I needed a bad apple. So we're just doing it from my hotel room today. I hope you don't mind. And really quickly for our reminders, because I've already been rambling a little bit. If you want a chance for your story to be featured on Am I the Bad Apple, you can send it to my subreddit, r/AmITheBadApple. And just a reminder, we all come from different branches of the apple tree. And what that means is that while you all are discussing these stories down in the comments, just know that not everyone has had the same experiences as you, so not everyone's gonna have the same ideas or perspectives on things. You don't have to agree with everybody, just be respectful. That's all. Just be civil and respectful and friendly. So without further ado, let's get started with this week's episode of Am I the Bad Apple? Let's go apple picking. Apple number 1. Am I the bad apple for rewarding my son for failing? My husband and I have found ourselves in a disagreement. Our son, 16 male, isn't doing very well in school. He's a ridiculously smart kid, but he's failing a few of his core classes. At the beginning of the school year, my husband told him during a discussion that if he didn't get and keep his grades up, he wouldn't be allowed to do marching band next year. Me, trying to keep the peace and show a united front, didn't say anything until after the fact. I don't believe that taking away the one thing he loves at school away is punishment for his grades. Take his car, weekend activities, literally anything else. But not the one thing that's probably keeping him in school. My husband says that I want to reward his bad behavior, but I say it's just not going to work the way he thinks it is. Now, our son's never been a straight A student. I mean, he does have ADHD like me as well. He's a semi-popular kid, he's got a lot of friends, and he makes hundreds in all of his extra classes like audiovisual tech and band and construction. It's just his core classes that he's failing. Like, badly failing. I also want to mention that this threat was kind of made last year as well, and he's still failed some classes. But we just told him we wouldn't pay for marching band, so he worked all summer and saved money in a shoebox so that he could pay for it himself. So, am I the bad apple for not wanting to take that away from him? Okay, I have a few thoughts. First of all, I really like how she played this as a wife. You know, I really like the idea of defend me in public but correct me in private kind of thing. So I think like letting the conversation, and I don't have kids, but like y'all can let me know, but I think letting the conversation finish and then contradicting dad later in private and saying, I don't know about this, I don't like this. No, like I think that they probably should have had a conversation before this was brought to the kid personally, just that they could start on the same page and then not like be wishy-washy. But again, like it could also be really important for the son to see his mom stand up for him. No, I stand by that. I stand by her talking to the dad about it later in private and then both of them coming back and her saying, hey, I brought this to your dad's attention, I feel XYZ, and he came around to see it on my end. Like if it goes that way, yeah, I like that better. So, yeah. Also, like, I do agree with the mom that I don't think taking away marching band is the answer here, especially when this kid worked all summer to pay for this activity himself. You can, like, I'm sorry. The moment she said that, this became something that parents, for me, in my opinion, cannot take away from him. Like, this is a school activity that he's paying for himself. I don't believe in being like, oh, well, you paid for this, but like, you can't do it anymore. Well, I guess it would be the next year, but you know what I mean. I don't like that personally. And I'm a big proponent of, and I say this as a former teacher, because again, I'm not a parent, I haven't been a parent, but I do have experience in like discipline, you know, because I was a teacher for many, many children, teenagers, yeah, you get it. I think that like a punishment, in my opinion, is not supposed to be meant to just make them feel bad and make them miserable and blah, blah, blah. Like, no, like a punishment should really have the goal of either rehabilitating or fixing the issue or teaching a lesson. So for me, I feel like the punishment should fit the crime. So if the issue is that he's failing classes, okay, let's take a second and look at like, what is he doing and not studying for these core classes? First of all, I really like that mom mentioned that he had ADHD. Is he on medication? Is he seeing someone? Are those avenues being looked at first before we're just punishing him? Because like clearly he's capable of doing the school stuff. Why does he have zeros? Is he not turning in work? Is he getting the test answers wrong? Is he not finishing them? Like where's the failing coming from? So I think that figuring that out first. If he's not turning in work, that could be a thing of ADHD. And like as someone with ADHD, I know that, you know, and other ADHDers out there can attest that like when you have a disability, getting punished for having the disability and not being able to control it on your own sucks. It just does. It really does. So I would definitely personally check into that first. Like, what's the reason he's failing? Is he not doing the work, or is he forgetting to turn it in? Or is he not getting it done because he can't focus? Or is he doing it and then losing it? Like, what's the issue? I think that needs to be the first step personally. And then if it's just that he's not doing it, like if it isn't completely an ADHD thing only, then, you know, okay, what is he doing over the weekend instead of doing his assignments? Like, I agree with her. I would start there. I don't think marching band is the issue. And I know there are going to be some parents that tell me like, oh, well, marching band takes up time, blah, blah, blah. I understand that. But I think activities such as marching band teach different kinds of life skills that kids need. I think that it teaches about commitment and responsibility and discipline. And I think that too many teenagers don't have that kind of consistent life lesson present in their lives, that when they become an adult, holding a job for a long time and like being responsible and being committed like to work things, adult things, it becomes a little bit more of a challenge. So I think marching band is a good thing for this kid, especially if he's willing to work a job and pay for it himself. But long story short, I don't think I'm rambling. Long story short, I think that I have different like ideas than mom on like what to do and where to start, but I don't disagree with her that I don't think cutting marching band is the answer, and I'm really glad that she's on her son's side about that, and I definitely think they need to get dad on board with that. So I'm going good, Apple. That was a long explanation. I rambled a lot. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Apple number 2. Am I the bad apple for making my parents replace the toys they stole? I'm moving to another city for work, and since I'm an adult and not a college kid, I hired movers. My parents insisted on coming down to help me pack at least. I live in their basement suite because it was cheap and they let me have my privacy. But to come help me pack, they brought my brother and my nephew. The 4 of them were absolutely useless, especially my younger nephew. My parents decided to take it upon themselves and keep my nephew busy by giving him some of my Lego sets to play with. Well, I collect Lego sets. What I usually do is buy 2 of them at the same time. I build one and put it up for display, and then leave the other one in a box to trade or sell at a later date. My nephew took these Legos upstairs to stay out of the way, and then he took them home. I didn't even notice at the time. All I really noticed was that he was out of our hair while I was trying to get stuff done. The next day, I saw the Lego box in the garbage can. I immediately knew what happened. I went upstairs to talk to my parents, and I asked why the Lego box was in the garbage can. They said, oh, we gave the Legos to Travis to keep him busy. I said, those weren't yours to give Travis, and you need to replace it. They said I was being childish for caring so much about a toy. I said, look, you can either replace the Lego set, or I'm gonna file an insurance claim, and it's probably gonna require a police report. My dad got so angry. He just pulled $70 out of his pocket and told me that I was being a jerk for making such a fuss over a toy. I said, is that $70 a down payment? He said, well, that's what I spent on the Lego set I got you for Christmas, so doesn't this about cover it? I showed him the exact box and I said, keep your money. I want you to get me this set in a sealed, brand new version, just like the one he stole from me. He said he didn't steal anything and just took the box and went on his way to the Lego store. When he came back, he was very apologetic. He had no idea that these collector's items cost so much. He said he would go right away and get the Lego set back for my nephew. And I said, no. This was a sealed, brand new, unopened set. I want the sealed box. This exact one. I even went on eBay to help him find a cheaper one than he found himself at the Lego store. With shipping, it would only be about $300. He ordered it. I mean, he's not happy about it, but he did order it. My mom's so mad that I'm expecting so much money for a toy, and my dad's upset that I didn't explain before he went and made a fool of himself at the Lego store. I'm just upset they stole from me. So I just need to know, am I the bad apple? Gosh, I say this so often. I guess this isn't the same as like parents, this is grandparents, but like other people's lives don't revolve around your kids and your grandkids. Like, first of all, in what world, when you're like helping someone move, do you just like invite a child over? And I feel like some people are gonna be like, oh, well, they needed the extra hands with the brother. No. They didn't. The person moving said, I got movers. I don't need help. I'm good. Thank you, but no thank you. And the parents insisted, oh, well, just let us help you pack. Which is nice. But they didn't say anything else about bringing over 2 additional people, one of which is just gonna be in the way. Like, there was not really a reason to do that. Sorry, my sunburn is like, I got so burned in Louisiana, it's itching. I'm peeling bad. But anyways, the nephew's not going to be helpful. If you assume someone's got to keep an eye on the nephew, would it not be his dad? So like, then what's the point of bringing them over anyways? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know why the parents invited them in the first place. And then on top of it, to take something like unopened in someone else's living quarters and just like, here kid, you can have this. I'm sure it's not important. Like, that's not your stuff. I feel like sometimes parents, especially parents of like adults, kind of belittle the hobbies that they might not understand or that they might not share that their children have. No matter what age their children are, whether they're 8 or 18 or 28. I feel like sometimes that happens and I don't like it. And I think that it's entirely their fault. They took something that they didn't know the value of, that they belittled, didn't understand, something unopened that didn't belong to them, and just tossed it their grandson, and they're like, I'm sure this is fine. You can just have it. You didn't ask the person who lived there. You didn't ask the person it belonged to. Like, in what world is that ever okay? And honestly, like, the least they could do is replace it. Like, I don't think OP is wrong in the slightest bit for making them replace it. Like, that's what anyone should do in that kind of situation. If you take something or mess something up, whether it's a collector's item, whether it's a piece of furniture, whatever, you should just replace it. Like, that's the common decent thing to do. Mom's all upset that they have to replace the thing that they broke or that they messed up. That's being irresponsible. Like, you're a grown adult. You should know by now that if you mess up people's things, you should replace them. The dad's all upset that he let him go to the Lego store and humiliate himself. I mean, I would honestly be a little bit more embarrassed that I disregarded my child's things like that, but whatever. I don't necessarily have like a strong opinion on that one way or another. So like, if you think there was really wrong that OP let his dad go and embarrass himself, let me know in the comments. If you think he deserved it, let me know in the comments. Whatever you think. I would love to hear your comments. Again, I don't really have a strong opinion one way or another. It could be that I don't have an opinion. It could also be that I'm so tired. It's been such a long 2 weeks. But regardless, I'm going good apple, because the question is, am I the bad apple for making my parents replace the toys they stole? No, like, again, if you mess up somebody's things, whether it's like, if someone were to come to my house and knock over my big camera, I'm assuming they're gonna replace it. Like, if they broke my camera, replace it. Or like, if you're at someone's house and you like rip a hole in their sofa, but like, you can't just, and I get, those are like even bigger extremes. Like, those aren't going to be like, a camera or a couch is even going to be more expensive than a Lego set. But like, you know what I mean. If you break someone's things, like, you go to the store, you break it, you buy it. If you go to someone's house and you break someone's things, you should replace them. Is that not common sense? Like, I don't understand. Apple number 3. Am I the bad apple for not letting my kid go to their friend's house? I, 38 female, am a widow and have a 14-year-old daughter who we'll call Amy. Amy has a friend named Jessica. Me and Jessica's mom have met at several occasions, but haven't really talked personally. Recently, Amy got invited to Jessica's house for a birthday party, and there was an after-party sleepover that my daughter was also invited to. Before I get into the main plot of the story, my daughter has severe peanut and egg allergies. She was diagnosed with them at a very young age and has only ever encountered them once before. So, back to the story. Since I had Jessica's mother's phone number, I just decided to give her a text. The text included an answer to the invite and just a little reminder about Amy's allergies, just so in case she didn't already know, she could look out for them. Around 11 p.m., Jessica's mom called me and I answered to a very angry woman. She said something along the lines of, "You cannot tell me what to do in my home. If I want to cook an omelet in my house for their breakfast, I can." I was sleepy and a little out of it and didn't really follow along with her rant, but once she finished, I just remember saying, "Jessica's mom, I don't want to boss you around in your home. I was just asking you to be aware of the situation that Amy has." She started to get verbally violent and I just hung up. I changed my Evite response to a no and called it a day. I then told my daughter Amy the next morning that she couldn't go to the after party. She begged and begged to go, so I thought I'd give it another go and asked if it would be okay for Amy to bring her own lunch. I never got a response back, so I just kept my answer as no. Amy still got to go to the party, but my daughter is so angry at me for not letting her go to the sleepover. So, was I the bad apple? I think I would really love for a lot of parents to weigh in on this, because as we know, I don't have kids. But I think like there's a broader, newer discussion about like sleepovers at other people's house and things like that that just wasn't really the case when I was a kid, if that makes sense. I think parents nowadays are much more conscious and aware of like sometimes people have things going on in their families that they don't want their children to be around or exposed to. Whether it's like parents arguing and yelling or like much older siblings, like things like that, you know, you just never know who your child is sleeping in the home with. And I didn't even think about it when I was a kid. I used to sleep over at people's houses all the time, but from what I understand, it's a much more talked about issue these days, which I wholeheartedly respect. You know, minor safety, stranger danger, like I'm all for it, 1000%. So I think that like as a general idea, being cautious of where your child is sleeping at night, like whose house they're sleeping at, is really valid. And if you have a parent who is being argumentative about like there's a kid with very severe allergies and she's just like belittling the child because of it, like that's a red flag, right? That's a huge red flag. And I'm assuming this mom never said, please don't have these foods anywhere in your house. But I don't think it's crazy to just say, hey, I want you to be aware of my child's allergies. Like I feel like that would be a very common sense thing for a mom hosting a bunch of teenage girls to be aware of. Are there allergies? Are there medical issues that I should know about? Like, I think it's a very big red flag that any mom hosting a big sleepover like that isn't worried about those things. Like, I would put questions about that on the Evite to make sure that you have, does anyone carry an EpiPen on them? Does anyone have asthma where they need an inhaler? Like, what are there any epilepsy or anything like that I should be aware of? Like, these are very important questions that I personally would have liked to see on the Evite. But they weren't there, and that's fine. And I even get if maybe initially Jessica's mom was a little defensive because she thought that Amy's mom was trying to dictate what was in her own home. And I can see her being like a little like, hey, just want to know what you meant by this. Like, just clarifying, what do you need from me kind of thing. Like, for sure that before yelling and screaming, yeah. But when she just was rude about it and then didn't get back to her about her own lunch, like, I would also be a little hesitant about how responsible this mother would be for my child if I was a mom. I honestly was gonna go good apple, and now I'm kind of second guessing a little bit. Not because I think she did anything wrong, but I don't see anywhere in here where Amy's mom like explained this to Amy. I'm not seeing anything in here about telling Amy why she couldn't go. I'm just saying, oh, you can't go. And that's something that I really dislike, is the whole like blah 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 because I'm the parent. Like, I get that sometimes you're in a rush, or sometimes you don't have time, or sometimes you don't have the words, and in the moment explanations can get lost. But I think that when it comes to especially like, why can I not go to this friend's house, I think explaining to her the situation and the safety risks would be really good for her, because one, it helps your relationship. She doesn't think that you're just not letting her go to be mean or to have a power trip or anything like that. Like, there's an actual valid reason. And two, it might also help her like reevaluate Jessica, because like, if I knew that my mom, which my mom would never, but let's pretend, if I knew that my mom was belittling or downplaying my friend's severe allergies, I would call her out on that in a heartbeat. Just 14-year-olds do that all the time to their parents. Like, that wouldn't be crazy. I would definitely like, hey mom, this person's very important to me. I want her there. Like, can you play nice? Like, this is a serious medical thing. Why? What's up? What gives? You're being a little much. So if Jessica is a friend that Amy wants to keep, I think, for Amy to also being able to communicate to Jessica, like, hey, I can't go because XYZ. Because like, what if Jessica just thinks Amy doesn't want to go, or just think that Amy's mom doesn't like her? Like, I think that the communication is important. I think a lot of times you just can't because I said no, or because I'm the parent, I think that gets passed off as, well, yeah, I'm the parent, I have the right. But I don't think that's the right way to go about things all the time, personally. And again, I don't have kids. I know I don't get it. I just think that communication in all relationships is most important, whether it's between spouses or friends or parents and children. I think communication is important. So I was gonna go good apple, but I'm gonna go crab apple, because even though I agree with her, I don't like the way she handled it by not communicating these things to Amy. So I'm going to go crab apple for that reason. Apple number 4. Am I the bad apple for telling my friend she doesn't get an opinion because she's poor? My best friend Layla, 29 female, and her partner Ryan, 40 male, were over for dinner this evening. I enjoy cooking, and tonight's dish was seafood pasta with garlic bread and a veggie side dish. Having Layla and Ryan over for dinner is a semi-frequent occurrence, but they typically don't contribute anything to our meals. The reasoning is, 1, because they struggle financially, and 2, neither of them are very good at cooking. If they bring something, it's usually drinks or a store-bought side dish like potato salad, mac and cheese, chips, whatever. But it's rare that they bring anything. This has never really bothered me because hanging out's always a good time, and I'm understanding of their financial situation and preferences for not cooking. My partner and I live very comfortably and can afford to feed guests for dinner every so often, so it's never been an issue until tonight. I usually like to cut shrimp in half when I'm incorporating it into pasta because I just feel like it mixes in better that way. It's just a personal preference. I don't claim to be a master chef, I just like cooking, and that's the way I've always done it. But Layla started getting on my case about not serving the whole shrimp with pasta. It started out as a light-hearted banter, but quickly became very annoying. Some of her comments included, oh, feeling stingy tonight, huh? Oh, well, hope I don't get hungry again later. I've never seen pasta served with cut up shrimp before. I eventually got fed up and said something along the lines of, interesting take considering that I know you've never cooked shrimp ever in your life and probably can't afford to either. You don't work, Ryan doesn't have a real job, you guys come over here for free food and complain about it? No, I'm done. It was word vomit, followed by very awkward silence. They left shortly after that, and I texted Layla an hour later and apologized for what I said. She apologized as well, but honestly, I'm still mad. I'm starting to feel like they're freeloaders, and it just feels icky knowing that they come over here and eat well so often, and my partner and I never get anything in return. I know that we're in different financial situations, but there are ways to make an effort without spending a lot of money. Layla suggested we do dinner again next week, assuming that we were all good after we both apologized, and I responded, basically said, I'll pass on that one. She then hit me back with, oh, so are we too poor for you now? And I just said, yeah, the whole thing just left a bad taste in my mouth, and now I don't even want to talk to her. And my partner thinks I'm being too harsh, but I don't know. I feel used, and I don't like that. Like, what kills me so much about the submission is she's like, yeah, I told her she was poor. It was word vomit. And then we both apologized and it was fine. And I was like, nope, yep, you're still too poor for me. Like there's so many lines in here where she's like trying to make it look like what she said isn't that big of a deal, but it is. And like, I'm not saying that Layla and Ryan aren't taking advantage. Whether they are or aren't like purposely trying to take advantage, Layla should not have made those comments. Like, I can't imagine going to someone's house where someone is making me dinner and like, feeling stingy, are we? What do you mean? You didn't bring anything. Like, I would be annoyed too. I would be annoyed at that kind of comment. Hope I don't get hungry later. Okay, well then feed yourself, Layla. Like, what do you mean? I would get mad too. But, like, to say, what were the exact word? You probably can't afford to eat shrimp on your own. Like, you've never cooked shrimp in your life and you can't afford to either. That's not okay. Like, in what world are you gonna try and gaslight us into thinking it's not that big of a deal? Like, whether you're being used or not, you're never gonna convince me that putting someone down for their financial situation is like the way to go. That's so rude. That's so rude. And if you wanted to snap at her for being ungrateful, if you wanted to snap at her for not bringing a dish, I mean, I would still say do it tastefully, but like, sure, go off. Like, if she's gonna be passive aggressive and you wanna be passive aggressive back, that is your choice. Not about rubbing someone's financial issues into their face. Like, I don't like that. That to me, like, that's no question. Like, not only bad apple, but I think everyone here is being rude. Everyone's a bad apple. Layla and Ryan should never come empty-handed. I think that's rude. They shouldn't be, like, talking about her being stingy with shrimp because they're getting cut in half. There's still the same amount of shrimp. What do you mean? The same amount of shrimp is there. Crazy. And then to like double back and like, okay, she wasn't interested in getting back together the next week. And the friend shot, oh, are we too poor for you now? Yup. No, that's rude. Like, that's so rude. Like, and again, I'm not saying that Layla's response also wasn't rude. Like, I don't like Layla either. But in what world is it appropriate? I don't like it. I'm saying that as someone who is very fortunate and very privileged. And I try to say that whenever it comes into play in these questions, in these stories, because like it's true. And I always want to own up to that. Yes, I did work very hard for what I have, but like I am very fortunate and privileged to have what I have, 1,000%. And I just like, I think it's so disgusting to put people down for not having the same fortunes. It's so absolutely grotesque. Like I can't, I hate it. I hate it. So I'm going Bad Apple. Bad Batch for sure, but I don't have an icon for that yet. So I should have known I would be cursed when not at my house. Like, yeah, makes sense. It's all falling to pieces because I got 2 good apples, a bad apple, and a crab apple. I have the curse. That's what it is, right? It's not 2 crab apples. No, it's 2 good apples, a crab apple, and a bad apple. I'm pretty positive. I haven't slept in a while, guys. I've been very busy. You know what? That's a curse in itself. It's fine. Everything's fine. I feel like that like dog meme would be really fitting right here. The dog in the house that's burning down. He's just at the kitchen table and he's like, this is fine. Yeah. I would love to know if you got anything similar to me, different than me. Definitely let me know down in the comments. I want to hear all about your thoughts and your opinions and all the things. And as a reminder, if you want a chance for your story to be featured on Am I the Bad Apple, you can send it to my subreddit, r/AmITheBadApple. And for your well wishes, it is not only National Buttermilk Biscuit Day. Gosh, I love that. I love me some biscuits. Buttermilk biscuits. Get you one if you can. But if you are not able to enjoy a buttermilk biscuit today on this national holiday, it is also Dance Like a Chicken Day. So you can, you know what, you can still enjoy and celebrate by doing a nice little chicken dance. So the next video that you play after this should be the chicken dance song, and just, you know, get it out of the way. You got it. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and hope to see y'all next week. Bye, my lovelies. Mwah.